Security forces opened fire on thousands of anti-coup protesters in the Sudanese capital of Khartoum and its twin city, killing at least 15 people. Now, Wednesday's tally was the highest daily count of people killed since 25th of October coup, which saw the military seize power, dissolving the transitional government and arresting dozens of officials and politicians. Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok is currently under house arrest in the capital of Khartoum. Police clash with protesters in Greece's second largest city after a peaceful protest to mark the anniversary of a bloody anti-dictatorship uprising in 1973 became violent. Some 14,000 marched peacefully before some people threw petrol bombs at police who responded with tear gas and water cannon. No injuries were reported. Police said at least 20 suspected rioters were detained. Supporters and protesters gathered outside the courthouse as the jury in Kyle Rittenhouse's trial deliberated for a second day. They carried signs with photos of two men, Anthony Hoover and Joseph Rosenbaum, killed by Rittenhouse in August of 2020. At least two people were seen being detained by police after getting involved in a physical altercation steps away from the main entrance of the courthouse. The death toll in Canada from massive floods and landslides that devastated parts of British Columbia is set to rise, with the province declaring a state of emergency. Authorities have confirmed one death after torrential rain and mudslides destroyed roads and left several mountain towns isolated. The massive floods and mudslides also severed access to the country's largest port in Vancouver, disrupting global supply chains. The disaster could be one of the most expansive in the Canadian history. Farmers and community members helped rescue roughly 50 stranded cattle from a farm in British Columbia after heavy rain swept the western Canadian province. Videos show community members struggling to rescue dozens of cattle from a flooded farm using boats and jet skis. High-flying bargain hunters attended a plane auction at Nairobi's Jomo Kenyatta Airport as abandoned jets were sold off by the Kenya Airports Authority. About 100 would-be buyers watched as 73 aircraft were offered, with one of them, a Somali Air Force jet, going for as little as $700. In all, just 16 planes were sold, with the rest expected to be sold in the 5-day-long auction. French motocross star Tom Page launched off a 179-meter cliff, doing a double front flip before deploying a parachute and gliding down a gorge. Now, after successfully completing 2 complete front flips, Page has released a specially designed parachute and glided to safety over the picturesque ravine. A second chute deployed on his motorcycle. The stomach-sinking stunt is being called a world's first trick. Extreme winter sports athletes took part in the Project 2.0 this month in the scenic Swiss Alps. The event sees skiers, snowboarders, kite surfers, ski gliding and athletes in wingsuits combined together to produce a breathtaking spectacle of winter sports. A section of the Windsor Great Park will be lit up and guests given a chance to enjoy a range of colourful light and sound installations. Windsor Great Park Illuminated promises to offer dazzling lights and breathtaking projections. Among the leading attractions is a hologram film projected in between two trees. Windsor Great Park is owned by the Crown Estate, which manages the British monarchy's properties on behalf of the UK government. Windsor Great Park Illuminated will run until the 9th of January 2022. London's Kew Garden has launched its spectacular after-dark Christmas trail. Trees and Victorian glass houses are illuminated in festive lights for an event that is already close to selling out. The trail includes 14 installations, 3 light shows, over 25 kilometers of cable has been used to get the 3,000 light fixtures working. It winds through the landscape and taking visitors past suitably festive lights along with the route. It is the 9th year that the UNESCO World Heritage has hosted the festive event. Despite opening last night, it is almost sold out with just a few tickets available in January. New Delhi residents flock to nurseries to buy air purifying plants as the Indian capital is gasping for fresh air, with the air quality levels hovering from poor to hazardous category over the last 15 days. One of the world's most polluted capitals, New Delhi battles chronic winter smog. Each year, its falling temperatures trap deadly pollutants from power plants outside it, along with fumes from vehicle and garbage burnt in the open. Wednesday's air quality index is 386 on a scale of 500, was a sign of very poor conditions that threaten respiratory illness on prolonged exposure. Gloria Naves, a Colombian nun who was held hostage by Islamist militants for more than 4 years in Mali, returned to her home country to a warm welcome on Tuesday, escorted by the Colombian National Police Special Anti-Kidnapping Forces. Naves arrived in Bogota, where her fellow sisters greeted her with flowers and hugs. The 57-year-old nun was kidnapped in February 2017 in southern Mali while on a humanitarian assignment. Six British soldiers who fell in World War I have been given a new final resting place at the Tancourt cemetery in Belgium. The remains of the 9 men were only found 3 years ago, more than 100 years after the end of the war. That was near sewage works. 6 soldiers were buried early on Wednesday, while the remaining 3 will be buried at a future ceremony. The 9 soldiers died on the 14th of October 1917 during a bombing raid. In the coming decades, more victims are likely to be reburied, as every year an average of 30 bodies are found in the clay soil of the area. A footage shows migrants waiting outside a new camp near Kuznica on the border between Belarus and Poland. The security forces took the migrants in groups to the new camp, located on the Belarusian side of the frontier, and gave them food and water. Belarusian state news agency said border guards had started moving some migrants to a reception center away from the frontier. Belarusian and Polish border guards said around 2,000 migrants remained at the fence. Meanwhile, several thousand migrants remain stranded on the EU's eastern frontier in what the bloc calls a deliberate blackmail campaign by Minsk. Ten people were found dead at the bottom of an overcrowded boat which was packed with 99 surviving migrants rescued at sea off the Libyan coast. The victims suffocated in a packed boat which was reportedly at sea for over 13 hours. The ship's crew responded after a distress call was confirmed by volunteers conducting aerial surveillance. The rescue ship is currently carrying 186 people, including many women and children, the youngest of whom is 10 months old. Germans are rushing to get vaccinated against the coronavirus as infections soar and governments impose restrictions on the unvaccinated. Germany has among the lowest rates of vaccination in Western Europe and is now the epicenter of new wave of pandemic as the winter grips the continent. The German Health Ministry said 436,000 people received a shot on Tuesday, including 300,000 boosters, the highest number in about 3 months. About 68% of Germany's population is fully vaccinated against the virus, well behind countries like Italy and Spain. Belgium tightened its coronavirus restrictions, mandating wider use of masks and enforcing work from home as cases spiked in the country's fourth COVID wave. From Saturday, all people in indoor venues such as cafes and restaurants will need to wear a mask unless seated, and the rule will apply to those aged 10 or older. The previous age threshold was 12. People wanting to eat in a restaurant or go to the theatre already must present a COVID pass showing vaccination, a negative test or recent recovery. Most Belgians who also have to work from home 4 days a week until mid-December. Protesters gathered in the Slovakian capital to protest a new possible set of coronavirus restrictions amid a recent surge in cases. Those gathered ignored social distancing rules, did not wear face coverings. The Slovakian government is planning new restrictions on unvaccinated people, as it says that the country's hospitals are getting overwhelmed with COVID patients. The restrictions would come into place next Monday and would be in place for 3 weeks.
Základom demokracie je najsilnejšie zbrane, ktorými nakoniec porazíme. Všetci tu stojíme.
Russia has reported a new daily record of COVID-19 deaths as the total number of coronavirus infections in the country passed 9 million. The surge in daily deaths and infections also appeared to plateau over the past week, but the National Coronavirus Task Force said that a record 1,1247 people died from the virus over the past day. The surge in infections also comes and deaths comes amid low vaccination rates, lax public attitude towards taking precautions, and the government's reluctance to toughen the restrictions. Fewer than 40% of Russia's population has been fully vaccinated. Daily COVID-19 cases have soared to new records in the Czech Republic. This comes a day before the government was set to approve new restrictions to tackle the recent wave. The country's health ministry has reported 22,479 new cases in the last 4 hours. As a result, there is an increase in numbers of hospitalizations and deaths. Almost 4,500 people were reportedly being treated in hospitals on the 16th of November, with 661 in intensive care. Czech Republic is one of the hardest hit countries in the European Union and has so far registered 31,709 deaths, of which 848 were reported this November. The largest collection of Fabergé Easter eggs in 25 years is going on display at London's Victoria and Albert Museum on Saturday, showcasing a variety of 200 objects. The exhibit takes visitors through the story of the legendary goldsmith Carl Fabergé, and the sparkling exhibition features 15 famous Easter eggs. Only 50 were ever made. This is the largest collection on display for over 25 years. The collection includes several eggs which have never been shown before in the UK, including the magnificent Moscow Kremlin egg. Two of the elusive British artist Banksy artworks are being auctioned by the Sotheby's, and for the first time the auction house says it will accept live bids in either the world's second largest cryptocurrency by market value behind Bitcoin. Among the two works is 2005 painting that's never been auctioned before. It is expected to fetch up to $7 million.